Oh, nice to meet
I'm
you.
an interviewer from our TV.
All right.
Would you want to introduce yourself to us?
Of course. Hi, I'm Sebastian. I'm head of Urban Innovation. Urban Innovation is a project funded by the Berlin Senate Department, and we're supporting Berlin startups and scale-ups from the clean tech and mobility sector, especially with their market entry abroad, and connect them with different stakeholders and players in the local ecosystems in Singapore and London as well as New York.
Wow, it's a lot of locations.
Yeah.
How long you been in New York for?
New York since Sunday, actually.
Oh, since Sunday.
Yeah, so for me it's like 2 a.m. in the morning.
I still has Jack. Yeah. Okay. How many people you bring in here for now?
So this week we're here with 9 different companies. Like I said, clean tech mobility sector. We are attending different events actually this week. We're hosting our own pitch event tomorrow at SAP Hudson Yards. We're attending the Green Tech Festival on Thursday night, the Green Award show, and the exhibition, and different program points on Friday actually.
That's really nice. How long your social events gonna last for?
So I will leave on Saturday night actually.
Wow, that's really nice.
Just 1 week in New York.
Do you guys have any goals or any achievements you want to achieve for this year or next year?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in the end, we would like to connect Berlin companies with investors. Hopefully they get some funding rounds, they meet business partners, and can carry out some projects here in New York.
And what do you have any specific target you want to target?
Like in the industry, you mean?
Yeah, for the founders who are in the things.
That's up to them in the end. I mean, we're introducing them, we're bringing them together, we are organizing networking events like this one at the consulate. Tomorrow we are at the Hudson Yards. We are organized a networking event with GACC, the German American Chamber, so we're giving them all the opportunities. Yeah, and then
that's really nice. Thank you very much. You really
so
have
much.
for every startup company.
Yes.
Yeah, and good luck for everything. Thank you very much for the interview. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I would like to introduce you to the host of this evening, Deputy Consul General Wolfram von Heinitz. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Hello, welcome to New York. And you're allowed to come a little bit closer. COVID is not over, but at least the rules have been a bit relaxed. So come here. Welcome to the space. I hope you enjoy the view. You know, I just listened to Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind, and so I'm in the Empire State of Mind. But I also came from a reception at the German Bundesbank, the German Federal Reserve Bank here in New York, where we talked a lot about interest rate. And that brings me to my first point I want to make tonight. You came at the right time, but you came also at the rough time, actually. It's not easy for startups, it's not easy for companies trying to get ground in New York. It's particularly not easy for those of you who are looking for capital. I've seen a lot of actually funds and banks are here, so it's very interesting. Use the opportunity. But funding has become more difficult because of the raise of interest rates mainly and the economic situations. So it's tough, but I don't know, we invited a good friend of mine, Ruben Austin, is he here? I don't know, but maybe he comes later, but he organizes so-called funding breakfasts quite often here in New York. And basically the common opinion there on this breakfast last time was yes, it's become more difficult to get funding, but it's also more reasonable, because he said before it was a frenzy, everybody tried to invest, large investments were made for growth or for even early funding phases without even seeing the person in COVID, just over the internet, over Zoom meetings. Now it gets more personal, so it's good that you're here, you need this personal contact. That's actually the difference from the COVID situation to the situation nowadays. Without personal contacts, you won't achieve nothing. So good that you're here. So it's great to have you here. It's also difficult because New York is a tough market. It's an interesting market, and that's a positive thing. It's always looking forward, it's always looking for new ideas, but it's also tough. We, as a consulate here, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, we looked into the 15 minutes delivery service. Actually, my colleague Anja Kloos, who's here, big applause for her. She looked into it, she wrote a report about it, how this is actually burning capital, because you could basically, with that, you could order groceries for $21, delivery in 15 minutes, and you got a $20 voucher a minute later, and then you could just change the SIM card in your phone and do the same thing again. So it's burning capital through capital. So everything that is substantial is good, and actually this market is looking for European companies, particularly for that, because, well, I wouldn't say contrary, but maybe with a slightly different focus on sustainability and constant growth, European companies are very attractive and have a competitive advantage, even in a tough market as New York. But it is a tough market. And I looked at the profiles of the companies we have here with us tonight, and next week you came also because of the Clean Tech Week. It's a great opportunity to network. Not all of you probably will find partners here because it's also difficult. A lot of you companies are looking business to business. That's probably, we have to be realistic also about New York. A lot of those companies are still more on the West Coast than here, but New York and the West Coast as general is growing. I suggest you also look beyond New York. Pittsburgh is very interesting, actually, with Carnegie Mellon University, which is one of the hubs for artificial intelligence and robotics. So that's very interesting. So that's also something I recommend, not only focus on the city of New York, but more on the region here. And you have a lot of advantages here because you have fantastic lifestyle, but you have also reasonable living conditions. And on the West Coast, it's maybe a little bit overhyped to a certain degree, so look for that. It's also closer to Europe, so if you look for links between transatlantic communities on both sides of the Atlantic, it's also something that is interesting. Last point I would like to mention is I've seen also from your profiles a lot of the companies are looking into areas which are highly regulated or depending on regulations like carbon certificates or something like this. So this is also very interesting, and that's also a very difficult issue. That's actually something where we are the experts, I would say, as government representatives, where we have difficult negotiations with our American partners, and where you see this as a very divided countries on these issues. You know, you have a lot of support from the, I would say, the middle left spectrum of the American public, but and political spectrum, but there's also the danger that there is a backslash in this area. So this is still a volatile business, so I would like to have actually conversations, maybe tonight, maybe in the weeks, maybe in the months to come, because this is something you can't do alone. We basically need to work together, private sector and government sector, on this issue. It's a complicated issue, it's here also a complicated issue in the US, but we as Europeans, and I speak for myself, but also for the delegation, we can actually do this with on eye-to-eye level, you know. There's no sense in just seeing America as a dynamic and Europe as a kind of laid back. Europe has a lot to offer. It has these sustainability issues, is particularly clean tech is an area where we actually the lead, and particularly when it comes to good regulation actually. We have, I would say, reasonable regulation in a lot of areas. So this is actually an advantage which we should actually also use in our talks. GDPR, as an example, has become a kind of global standard. We as governments trying to move forward in other areas also with establishing European standards as global standard, because at the end business is also about who's standard setting. And I think we are, I wouldn't say ahead, but we're on eye-to-eye level with the US on that. And actually this is something where we should cooperate. But enough about the serious talk. I'm always amazed how long I can talk about business if I have this view here, because I'm still fascinated being here for now more than 2 years, 2.5 years. I'm also fascinated by New York. It's a fantastic city. Enjoy the view, enjoy the evening, and particularly enjoy good talks tonight. Welcome to New York once again.
Thank you so much again. I just want to introduce myself. So I'm Sebastian, I'm head of Urban Innovation. Urban Innovation is a program funded by the Berlin Senate Department. We're supporting Berlin startups and scale-ups in the clean tech and mobility sector, especially with their market entry abroad, and New York is one of our partner regions. For this clean tech mission, we collaborated with the Berlin Business Office. Thanks again to Sebastian, it's a great pleasure working with you, as well as Franziska, there she is, from Berlin and Partner. Thanks again, it's a great pleasure. And today's evening is actually not about me, it's about the companies we brought with us to New York. And fortunately I have to read it out, and I would like to connect the companies with some faces for you, so you can please approach us, ask us, and we can introduce you to the companies. So with us actually are Daniel and Oliver. From Below 2, maybe you can show your hands, they are over here. Below 2 provides a platform to evaluate and verify carbon credit projects in the voluntary market, data-driven and science-based. That's one company we brought from Berlin. Also with us is Caesar and Magnus, he's over here. Caesar is a data-enabled B2B marketplace for verified negative emissions. Also with us is Kusha, he's over here, from Imperial Drive. Imperial Drive is offers a service like electric rental cars delivered driverless. Really interesting, you should talk to him on his business. Also with us are Sami and Sofian from IOTA, there you are. So IOTA connects places and products via Web3 using a digital twin. And also with us is the company Liang Dao and Yang, he's over here. So Liang Dao is a smart city data provider in the end. It's a really interesting approach. Also with us today is Tim from Replan City over here. So Replan City is an AI-based software to quickly build digital twins of urban mobility and plan better transportation services, for the communities in the 21st century. Then with us also is Rider Technologies. They are working on democratizing the last mile. Where there you are, Ruben and Nico. Also with us are Stefan and Sina from Swabi. I saw you, there you are. Sina, somewhere over there. So Swabi builds a network of fleet-agnostic battery swapping stations, which significantly reduce the operational cost and the environmental footprint of light electric vehicle fleets. And last but not least, with us is Carolina from Guido Solar. Guido Solar offers like smart solar solutions for vertical self-installation. Yeah, it's great working with you also. It's a pleasure to be here. Great to be in New York. And yeah, I wish you all great networking. And please approach us. We are happy to introduce you to all the companies. Enjoy the evening. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Wolfram von Heinitz. I'm the Deputy Consul General here in New York. But probably more important for tonight is I graduated from university with a master's degree about artificial intelligence. I've been the German kind of cyber representative here at the UN level. So I've been in the DGE on cyber issues, so I'm very much in the digital world. And I'm here in New York basically to look how we can basically foster global cooperation on digital and cyber issues.
Sounds great. And I heard the guys told me like you guys are from a startup. So how many companies you guys are bringing from Germany?
I don't have a number for you, but there's a vivid cooperation between European startup companies and American market basically. One example everybody probably in the US knows through COVID is HelloFresh. You know, that's a startup that was started in Berlin, but then it grows. Actually, phase was in New York here in the US, because the market is here fantastic, and actually we have a big advantage if we cooperate over the transatlantic, because we share the values and we have actually also
vested interests in moving the economy forward on a lot of areas.
That's great. And how long you guys been here before here?
Well, I came in the COVID crisis 2020, so in the middle of the crisis, a very different New York feeling. I wouldn't say a negative New York feeling, it was empty. I cycled here, which I won't do nowadays because there's too much traffic. But it was fantastic, it was New York to the New Yorkers. I'm much more happy that we're back to a kind of normal, and I wouldn't say normal, but New York is always looking ahead, and that's the great thing about this city, about this country, which I love. Always looking ahead, always looking for new things, and that is something I try to connect on.
Yeah, and now COVID start up, and it's really good for you guys to start up. And so do you guys have any goals for this year's?
We don't have any set goals. It's also very difficult because we have a global uncertainty. We have the unprovoked war of Russia against Ukraine, which is actually having a lot of negative effects on the global economy. You have interest rate increase, so you don't know where we're actually going. But what I think in the end, smart minds, open societies will prevail, and that's also true for the economy. So I think this is the way to go forward, and we're trying to contribute as much as we can for that.
Yeah, that is nice, and good luck for everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, here.
Okay, we go over here. I will just go back now, please. Select more photos.
Could you introduce yourself to us?
My name is John Francis Burke, and I am a photographer here covering the event here at the German consulate.
Oh, really nice. How long have you been here for?
I've been here almost 20 years in the United States. I'm not an American citizen. I grew up in another country. That country's Ireland. And so, yeah, I guess I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah, but I check your website, and you are very famous photographer, right? And what kind of magazines you did it before?
Well, I've worked in the past for GQ, the New York Times, ESPN Sports. So most photographers working with magazines are freelancers, and we work with different organizations. But now with the change from print technology to digital technology, it's all quite changed, as you know.
Yeah.
So most magazines have gone online, and now I'm kind of segueing more into advertising and lifestyle.
Really good, very good.
You have to adapt. The world changes, and we change with it, or we become dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a dinosaur.
Prepare for what we have, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Grateful.
so, what's your goals for next year's or this year?
My goal for next year. So my passion outside of commercial work is photographing horses. So I'm photographing more horses. I'm putting together a horse website to commission horse photography around the world.
Yeah, it's very creative things.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
You're
It's
very
really
welcome.
nice to meet you today.
Pleasure to meet you too. Thank you.
Like you guys to do, or need a target audience, or speed your word out, and so we can help with that. Yeah.
So unfortunately, I'm not working in technology, so I'm.
Women's Health Organization. Hi. Would you want to move on that part?
I need technology for like a woman's education and how the women will function or young people. Yeah, so I'm not working for startup, but I'm not working for startup, but I seen like exhibit and hearing all the noise that in the beginning anybody need funding, so the typical thing is like doing a task for like individual people or the companies. So instead of going through all the difficult tax, they can do it for the company. But in order